Okay, this left side is a we do and the other side is a you do. So I'll do the we do's with you and then give you some hints for the you do's. Okay, so let's take a look at the first picture here. So we want to find the volume of the birdhouse. Now, if we look at the birdhouse, we can tell that it is not one of the shapes that we have in our notebook. It is not just a rectangular prism or a triangular prism. It actually does have a matching bottom and a top if you look at the two sides. So it is a prism, but this is a pentagon shape, which you do not have a formula for. So for all of these, we're going to be breaking them into pieces. So if you take a look at this, you can see that we do have a rectangular prism. And then we have a triangular prism on the top of it. So I'm going to go ahead and so let's talk about this bottom green part. So this bottom part is clearly a rectangular prism. So this just looks like a normal box on the bottom. So whenever I get a shape like this, I like to fill in missing numbers that I don't know. So we see how we have this 12 on the top. That means that this piece is 12 and this piece is 12. Because a lot of times when you have a picture like this, you don't think of it in your hand and put all the sides. So this piece is 8. So what other piece would be 8? This piece right along here would also be 8. And if we could see the other side of this, it would be 8 across and 8 across down there. You see how tall is the birdhouse up to the roof? Is 6 tall. So that means that this piece is 6. And this piece is 6. So now we have a lot more numbers that we can work with before we even started. So let's talk about just the bottom box. So I'm looking at just the bottom box. So we're going to find this. This is actually a rectangular prism. So let's go ahead and find the volume of the rectangular prism. So it is 6 tall. It is 12 here, and it is 8 going up the side. Why won't that go away? So this is a 6 and a 6, and we know this is an 8 and a 12, so we can think about all the numbers. Now, remember what we do for a rectangular prism. We're going to talk about the big bottom. So for a rectangular prism, we want big bottom times the height of the prism. So if we look at the bottom of this box, you can see the bottom. It is going back there and across. So the bottom is a rectangle. And the dimensions of that bottom rectangle are 12. And if you were to be able to pick this box up and look at the bottom, it's 12 by 8. So that is the big bottom. 12 by 8. And then we want to multiply it by the height. So the height is how tall is the box. So that would be times 6. So our height is going to be 6. Now, since this is a rectangle, we know the formula is base times height. Little b we're talking about. So that would be a 12 times an 8. So for this big bottom, we'd be doing 12 times 8. And then we would have to times it by the height, which is 6. So 12 times 8 times 6 is going to give us the volume of that bottom box part of our birdhouse. 12 times 8 times 6. And I got 576. And that is inches cubed. Remember, volume is 3-dimensional, so it's going to be to the 3rd power. So that is the bottom box. Now we still have to do this top red part. So the top red part, what shape is that red part? So it does have matching top and bottom if you look at it sideways, right? It does have a matching triangle on the other side that we can't see. So these are 2 triangles that do match. So this is a triangular prism. So once again, it is a triangular prism. So we still are going to do the big bottom times the height, right? Because that's our formula. In this case, remember we have to use the triangle as the bottom, because if we were to use this rectangle as the bottom, we would not have a matching top. So the bottom is a triangle. So big bottom is a triangle, and then we have to times that by the height. So what's the formula for the area of a triangle? is going to be 1/2 base times height. So we need 1/2 base times height of the triangle, and then times it by the height of this. Now remember, we're going to be standing him up. So this is going to be our big bottom, right? So that means that this 12 is going to be our height. So you have to think about standing it up on its big bottom. So stand up the triangle up on its big bottom. So we need 1/2 base times height of the triangle. So that is 1/2. What's the base of this triangle? It is 8 across, so times 8. What is the height of the triangle? How tall was it straight up? 90-degree angle coming up, perpendicular from the bottom, is a 3. And then we have to times it by the height of this whole shape if we were to stand him on his big bottom. So it would be 12 tall if you stood him up. So we have to do 1/2 times 8 times 3 times 12. So I'm going to put that in my calculator, put it in yours. 1/2, so 1 ABC 2 times 8 times 3 times 12. And I get 144. So 144, that is inches to the third power. And that is the area of, the volume of this red part on top. So we have our bottom box and our top triangular piece. So we have 576 plus our top piece, 144. Add those up. What do we get here? 720. 720 inches to the third power is going to be the volume of our birdhouse. Okay, now you're going to do the one to the right, which looks like, let me find it. It looks like this. So you want to find the volume of this. Just disregard these numbers here. So take a look at this. Now your first step would be cut it into two shapes you know. So if you see, you can cut it straight across here. And then you would have a box on the bottom, which is going to be a rectangular prism. And then you would have a triangular prism on the top, because this would be a front triangle and it would match the back triangle that you can't see. Now when we look at this, you're going to be missing some pieces, because we do have this 3 here. So that means this is 3, right? We have a 4 here. So that means this is a 4. And that means this is going to be a 4, right? How far across is this going to be right here? If it's 8 down there, it's got to be 8 right here, right? So this is going to be 10 here. So what else is 10 then? The piece that's parallel to it right here. So this is 10 here. The problem is we don't have this side over here, because there's nothing that says how tall it is over here. Sometimes I always like to look at the opposite side and see if I have a number, but I don't have a number right here. But if you'll notice, what kind of triangle is this right here? So since you have this side and that side, how can we find a missing side on a triangle? Yep, you guessed it, Pythagorean theorem. So you're going to have to do Pythagorean theorem to get you this question mark side. And then you should be able to find the volume of the bottom box, and then plus the rectangular prism, triangular prism on the top. And then you could add them together to get all that. I'm going to stop this video, and you finish this whole row before you start the next one.